welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're cracking open a big one, a really comprehensive resource. We're going to pull out the key stuff you need to know right away.
We are. Our source today is the overview from Henry Prescott's North American Birdwatching Handbook. And it's positioned as this definitive, illustrated encyclopedia.
Right, not just pictures. It blends species ID, bird behavior, habitat details, and even conservation advice.
Exactly. It's meant to be this complete catalog.
And our mission here, for you listening, is to give you the shortcut. How do you get the core strategy, the main ideas about North American birds and how to ID them without, wading through a massive book?
Yeah, getting the essence of its approach. And that approach is pretty clear from the start. The source material describes it as like the modern big photographic compendium.
A desktop companion, they call it.
Pretty much. It's the reference you sit down with for the deep dive, for comparing things carefully.
Yeah.
Totally different from those slim guides you actually take out in the field. Its size is part of the point, really. You use it to prep.
Okay, let's dig into that. The first big thing is identification. Now, traditionally, field guides used illustrations, right? Detailed drawings. But this handbook, it really leans on photographs, multiple photos, visual diagnosis, they call it. Why the shift?
Well, the thinking, according to the source, is realism. It's about showing the bird how you'd actually see it out there.
Not some perfect, idealized image.
Exactly. An illustration often shows the bird in perfect light, perfect pose. Photos, especially having several, capture the real-world stuff, the variability.
And variability is what trips beginners up often.
Oh, definitely. We're talking different color morphs, males versus females, and crucially, how feathers look worn or change with the seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a spring warbler versus a fall one. Big difference.
Huge difference. Spring male looks sharp, fall birds can be drab, confusing. The photos try to catch those tricky states, showing things like the real bill shape, size cues, how they actually hold themselves, even in bad light.
Okay, but let me push back a bit. If you have so many realistic photos showing all this variation, doesn't that risk overwhelming someone? Paralysis by analysis.
That's a really good point.
Does it make it harder to spot the one key thing you need?
It's a valid concern, and the source material, the overview, it acknowledges that. There's a strategic tension there. The answer isn't just photos alone. The source is clear. Photos give crucial context. They show the range of how a bird can look. But those artist-illustrated guides, they're still essential companions.
You need both. A hybrid approach.
Precisely. Use the photos for the real-world feel, the posture, the general impression. Helps you narrow things down. But when you need to confirm that tiny diagnostic field mark...
That one little feather patch.
Yeah, exactly. You often need the clarity of an illustration. The drawing is specifically designed to highlight that key mark, even if it looks a bit different in the field photo. So, the best birders, they use this handbook for context and an illustrated guide to really nail the ID, mark by mark.
That's a really useful takeaway. So identification isn't just a checklist anymore, it's more like cross-referencing. But, okay, what if the visual ID is still tough? What's the handbook's next step?
Well, it pivots. If you can't quite get it by looks alone, you look at what it's doing and where it is, behavior and location.
Right. This is where it goes beyond just a picture book.
Definitely. This is where it adds huge value, especially as you get more experienced. It dives into behavioral ecology.
So the entries talk about things like how the bird finds food, its foraging style.
Yep. And the context where its song or calls. Is it defending territory, attracting a mate? Also breeding displays, how social it is.
So you're identifying it partly by its, job in the ecosystem.
You got it. Think about it, a bird creeping down a tree trunk head first, probably a nuthatch, right?
Okay, yeah.
Or a bird probing mudflats with a long bill, shorebird. Or watching a raptor just hanging in the air, hovering over a field.
Kestrel, maybe.
Could be, like an American kestrel. That behavior really narrows it down. It's about the physics of how they survive, helping you identify them.
And then you layer in the habitat. The book lists specific places. Wetlands, forests, deserts, even city parks.
Meticulously. The source really stresses this. Combine the behavior with place. It helps you form expectations. You're not just seeing a bird, you're seeing if it fits the pattern for that spot.
You're confirming a prediction.
Yeah, exactly. And that prediction relies heavily on knowing the bird's range and the time of year. The handbook covers North American distribution breeding areas, wintering spots, migration routes, essential for knowing if a bird's even likely to be there.
But the overview includes a warning here, doesn't it? It says you need to use local knowledge too. Not just the big maps in the book. Why?
Because those big continental maps are, well, broad. They show the general boundaries. But local info, like checklists from bird clubs or recent eBird data.
Real-time stuff.
Yeah, that tells you what's happening right here, maybe within 50 miles. Is that bird common here now? Or is it a rare visitor? The handbook gives you the biology, the foundation. Local sources give you the current status.
That makes total sense. The book is the what and how. Local data is the when and where right now. Okay, so that flow, visual ID, behavior, location, brings us to another big piece of this handbook.
Right. It's about connecting observation to, well, participation.
Engaging the observer, you mean. We're talking conservation, which feels a bit unusual for a standard field guide.
It is somewhat unique, yeah. But the handbook weaves conservation guidance right into the species accounts.
How does that work?
Well, the overview explains it's about moving beyond just naming things passive ID towards active stewardship. It highlights the big threats birds face in North America.
Things like habitat loss.
Definitely. Habitat loss from development, the impacts of climate change, which are subtle but, dramatic, and immediate dangers like birds hitting windows. Serious stuff.
So does the book just list problems? Or does it offer solutions, ways to help?
That's the key. The source says the integration is practical. It's not just doom and gloom. Tied to the species accounts or specific, clear action prompts.
Okay, like what?
Practical steps you can take in your own yard or community. Things directly linked to the bird you just looked up.
So I look up, say, a chickadee, and the entry might mention its habitat needs, and then suggest native plants that help it, or tips on keeping feeders clean.
That's the idea. Or maybe how to advocate for protecting local habitats. The source puts it nicely. It pairs the beauty and biology with clear, actionable ideas. It connects that spark of seeing the bird with practical conservation.
I get the accessibility part, but why put advocacy in a reference book? Isn't a handbook supposed to be, objective science?
Well, I think it reflects where ornithology is now. The consensus is you can't really separate studying a species from caring about its survival. By including conservation status, often using, a color code for urgency, the handbook makes sure you understand the context. That the bird you're watching exists within this bigger picture, sometimes a crisis. It's sort of an ethical layer baked into the learning.
Makes the connection hard to ignore. Okay, so it's clearly a massive, valuable resource. And heavy, I imagine.
Oh yeah, definitely not a pocket guide.
So if you're trying to use this mountain of information effectively, strategically, how do you actually do it?
The book itself gives some clear advice. First step, if you're totally lost, use the visual index or maybe the family sections at the beginning. That helps you narrow it down fast from, 900 species to maybe 20 or 30 possibilities.
Get in the right ballpark.
Exactly. Then, once you have an idea, you dive into the specific species account. Check the diagnostic field marks they list. Check the seasonal range notes. Is it supposed to be here now?
Standard approach. Let's circle back to the photo issue, the limitations. For those really tricky groups, what's the advanced technique the source recommends?
Right. For the tough ones, think fall flycatchers, maybe some raptors, those little shorebirds that all look the same.
Yeah, the confusing ones.
The photo variability can be tough, so the source suggests using the photos almost for negative identification combined with cross-checking illustrations.
Okay, what do you mean by negative identification?
You use the photos in Prescott to rule out things. Based on the lighting, the posture in the photo, does it match what you saw? If not, maybe rule that species out. Use the realism to eliminate candidates.
And then use an illustrated guide.
Yes, to lock in those non-negotiable key field marks. Use the drawings for the fine details, mark-by-mark confirmation. It's often a two-step process for the really hard IDs.
Use Prescott to narrow it down by ruling things out. Use illustrations to confirm the final choice.
Got it.
And the other big limitation we mentioned, currency. This thing is print.
Correct. And the source is upfront about that. It's a static tool, great for deep prep, for review, but it's desk-bound.
Not updated daily.
Exactly. So the source explicitly says, for the absolute latest, most precise range info, migration timing, or conservation status updates, you have to pair the book with current resources. Online databases, bird organization websites.
The book is the foundation, the web is the real-time update.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay. So this handbook sounds like it really bridges the gap from just seeing a bird to understanding its life and even knowing how to help it. It's more than just an ID guide.
It really is. It aims to build responsible, knowledgeable bird watchers. It gives you that deep context, the strategy, and that conservation mindset.
So, summing up, it gives you the big picture, the detailed biology, the conservation connection.
Yeah.
But its best use involves layering on other tools.
Especially local knowledge and current data.
Right. Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener.
Yeah.
Since the source itself says the best way to use this continental guide is by pairing it with regional guides and current online info.
The advice is clear. You need to localize.
So here's the question. Given how important it is to refine that broad knowledge with specific local data and maybe even community action, what local group, maybe an ornithological society, a bird club, an Audubon chapter, what local resource will you check out first to really sharpen your expectations and figure out your actions